The Toilet Paper Diaries was created by Dave Crane and Ernesto Verdugo, two international keynote speakers who saw the world go into lockdown because of a coronavirus and realized that many people would be scared. Not just speakers or event organizers, but anybody who owned their own business and was wondering what they need to do next to make sure that they could look after their families and still earn money. For 50 days consecutively without missing a single show, Dave and Ernesto shared ideas and tips and tools and techniques. They had a lot of fun, had a lot of jokes, and brought in some of the biggest speakers from the industry to join in.
Hey Dave, hey Ernesto.
Hello Dave and Ernesto.
This is Michael Dieterich coming to you live from the Netherlands.
This is Ethna Trainer in Dubai.
Thanks for inviting me back. You can see my reflection.
Hi Dave. Hi Ernesto.
John Briggs here with another brief bulletin for you.
Hope you guys are staying well.
And congratulations on 50 amazing episodes.
They're sharing great content from thought leaders, speakers, and authors around the globe.
I appreciate the opportunity to be able to deliver this message to you today.
This is exactly the kind of content people really need.
And thank you both so much for the daily dose of positivity that you are sharing with the world.
Congratulations
for organizing this Celebration 50.
What a fabulous accomplishment.
What an incredible show. Thank you for adding value for all of us.
Well done.
Congratulations on 50 shows.
That's impressive.
Congratulations.
You guys are doing fantastic work.
And you do it in such a humorous way.
Make sure you keep doing what you're doing. It's very important.
Congratulations to your 50th episode. Kudos on the show. So proud of you. I've been a fan for a long time.
Congratulations on the success of your show. What a great idea.
Really nice to see you guys.
Last time I seen you guys, it was 5 years ago in speaking in Dubai.
I miss you guys. I remember all the great times we had working with businesses in the UAE and Bahrain.
Just keep blessing people and keep sharing your gift.
Stay safe, and I'll see you around the quad.
Thank you all you've been doing. It's been great watching these reports from all over the world.
And thank you both for all that you're doing. This is amazing stuff. Giving back during this tough time.
You look fantastic.
And now, and people are starting to come out of their homes, now it's time to fast forward. Are you ready for the Toilet Paper Diaries, Season 2? Hello, everybody. Hello, Ernesto.
Hey, Dave.
Good to see you. I get really excited when I see that intro. It just makes me feel warm and huggy.
That's correct. If you're watching live, please make sure to share with everyone the episode. And if you're watching in YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Toilet Paper Diary so that you don't miss any episodes whatsoever.
And if you're just looking for us now, welcome to episode number 52. This is season 2, episode 52.
That's right, here on the Toilet Paper Diaries. And if you haven't watched any of the episodes, go to the toiletpaperdiaries.com and you can see all of the episodes there. And also you will be able to find a lot of interesting things that we have put together throughout the 50 episodes that we have had in the past. Dave, how crazy startup we had for season 2.
Well, you don't get more interesting than that. We start off by talking about some really important things like diversity, inclusion, changing the world and why it's so important in this day and age. And just when you think it's going fantastically, interesting things come along. When we went 2 days ago, we were at about 1,000 people. We've had about 4,000 or 5,000 people watch it since, and lots of comments have come back, so we've posted it. If you don't know what happened, episode 51, we've got our very own badge of honor. It's like First Blood, where Rambo comes out with a war wound and goes, oh! I don't know what he says, and I can't do a Sylvester Stallone impersonation. But we got taken off the air momentarily because the algorithm with our friends Facebook decided that we were troublemakers. I've got to admit, if you get you and me in a room together, there's going to be trouble, Ernesto. We probably thought we were going to steal something. But if you didn't see the last episode, then take a look at this.
Sorry to interrupt you. I have just been informed that our video has been banned by Facebook. So it is Big Brother is watching us.
Well, I'm glad you're watching because Facebook needs to hear this as well. But we're still broadcasting.
We're still broadcasting, but nobody can see us. It's only us. So we are out of Facebook. Incredible.
Wow, look at that. I didn't realize my face looked so sad and abandoned. I look like Bambi after his mum gets run over or whatever it is. It looked terrible. Oh my goodness. And it's like you turning around to me saying, Dave, I just got a note back from Santa Claus and guess which list you're on. Sorry, don't worry, there should be some good stuff on Netflix for you.
Yeah, it's insane. But anyway, today in episode 52, we are continuing with our I Have a Dream 2.0, and today we're going to be covering diversity and inclusion, which I think is going to be very interesting. Now, once again, this is not only about Black people. This is not about white people. This is not about Chinese people, Mexicans. I think we have to actually start seeing things in a broader perspective. Dave, why is it important to be inclusive in business? Because this is exactly the whole point on why we want to start getting people to understand why this is so important.
Okay, I'll give you a little taster. Well, ultimately, the thing that we're talking about is once you've changed the attitude that we're talking about with Black Lives Matters, it then has a knock-on effect on everybody. So everybody starts getting included into the workplace and everyone feels part of it. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on, but ultimately, for every single organization that embraces diversity and inclusion and has a whole range of different people from different nationalities with different spectrums of learning and adaptability and so on, you end up with a much better reflection of a global workforce and the global customer than if you only stick with people like you. So that's ultimately what it comes down to. You become a much better company and your profits go through the roof because you've got so many options on decision making. I'll explain that better later on in the show, but that's a bottom line. That's why inclusion, ultimately, and diversity across the workplace is much more effective for every organization, wherever you're based.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And obviously, I mean, on this episode, we're going to be talking about not only the race issue, but we're also going to be talking about religion. We're going to be talking about sex.
Oh,
yeah. So I think it's going to be quite interesting. But anyway, let's just get started with an interesting comment from Ashton Kutcher. Just have a look.
We all agree all lives matter. But I had a really poignant experience tonight when I was putting my kids down to bed that lent the words for why Black Lives Matter. So usually Mila and I put our kids to bed, we read them a book, and our daughter always gets to go first. And tonight, as we were reading her book, my son says, wait, why don't I get to go first? And Mila said, because girls go first. And he said, yeah, but boys go first. And I looked at him, I said, no, girls go first. And I said, you know why girls go first? For you and me, girls go first. And the reason why is, for some boys, girls don't get a go at all. And so for you and me, girls go first. So when it comes to Black Lives Matter, I think what folks that are writing All Lives Matter need to understand is that for some people, Black lives don't matter at all. So for us, Black Lives Matter. So while you may have the best intentions in saying all lives matter, remember, for some people, Black lives don't matter at all.
This is a very powerful statement. I mean, I love to see what white people are doing, and I hope that with the consciousness is actually just getting there. When I was little in Mexico, there's no black people. There's a lot of brown people, but there's no black people. And strange enough, one of the dreams that I had one day was to have a very good black friend. And right now I feel blessed that I have a brother from another mother seeing me from the other part of the world. I love you. And I have to say that I really hope that all these things which are happening right now are going to create that consciousness that is going to change the world. And I think the whole thing has to do with beliefs. And this is why we have to take it into a higher context. It's not about what you think. It's not about what everybody has an opinion on. It's about the repercussions of not understanding that by not being inclusive and by not understanding other people, you're really missing out in life. And that's exactly what this is all about. And it's very interesting. We have had, same as when Obama was president here in the United States, we had a native Mexican, not to call it Indian and not to get him confused with somebody from India. His name was Benito Juarez. He is one of the best presidents that Mexico has had. And he said something very powerful. He said, amongst individuals and amongst nations, respect for the rights of others is peace. I think it is just absolutely powerful because, of course, it is exactly what we need to start saying. Now, Dave, the funny thing here is right now the whole thing is going because of blacks or African Americans, as they call it here. But if you think about it, same thing many women have felt. I mean, it's exactly the same thing. And people just don't really seem to understand how weird that is.
Well,
don't you think?
I agree completely. I mean, I know that when the Me Too movement came out, there were a lot of people complaining, saying, oh, here we go. Everyone's going to accuse everybody of stuff. But it wouldn't be, where there's smoke, there's fire. There wouldn't be an issue unless there was actually an issue. And so it really does need to be addressed, and it does need to be taken across all the different issues that we have. But one of them's going to break through. And that's ultimately what we're talking about here. And when you respect people, like you and I have been friends for 20 plus years, I recognize your hair and I recognize you as a person, but I don't notice anything outside of that. I don't recognize nationality. But when I meet people, I don't see them for color or anything apart from, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how that's different from my perspective. Yeah. And that's how it should be across the globe. It's really interesting when you meet new people, and diversity becomes a massive challenge only if you make it so. It's a gift to meet lots of different nationalities and find out if they've got a better business model or more happiness than you have, and what makes it so simple.
Yeah, but what happens is, I mean, I love when actually people take a stand. I mean, right now it's the knee. But for example, companies like Benetton, I mean, Benetton has been taking a stand for this kind of thing all the time. In fact, this is a great video that they had in 2012 about women. So let's just have a look.
We're not better halves or worse. Definitely not the weaker halves. We won't settle for less. All we want is our half. Our half of the space. Our half of the take. Our half of the give. Our half of the strength. Our half of the opportunity for education. Our half of the share. Our half of the decisions in the decision making. Women have been denied their half for far too long. Let us unite for the equal half.
No argument there. Happy with that? Very happy with that. Very
fantastic,
good.
Isn't it?
It's really
I think it's just
that this should even be a conversation Why should we even have to say, let's give equal pay to women? It's ridiculous that we should have to say it. It should be just plain. You do a job, you get paid. Done. That's it.
Yeah. Well, just think about it. I mean, it's just so weird sometimes the way that the Caucasian mentality of, well, you know, he's like from one race, he's from we have been, Mexicans are discriminated, Chinese are discriminated, black are discriminated, women are discriminated. Now there's another group which is also having an issue, gay people. I mean, we are in the freaking second decade of the 21st century, and there's still issues. Once again, let's just look at this video, because I think it's also great to understand that companies which are taking a stand and are trying to help improve the consciousness of people are great. Once again, this is Benetton, already from a few years ago. Have a look.
Watching that video, the only thing going through my head is my wife saying to me, it's your turn to clean up the leaves in the back garden.
It's a beautiful video that all it has is just depicting love, but there's so many taboos. It's the interracial marriage, which we both are living in. We have the gay marriage, the lesbian marriage, the threesomes, the foursomes, whatever it is. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, that's what it's crazy.
If nobody's getting hurt, and some people actually want to get hurt, that's their thing, then what has it got to do with anybody else? It's got nothing to do with anybody else. And we don't have to, when you've got the world as a global village and everyone's playing together, and some people have food that they like and food that other people don't like and so on, let them do what they want to do, as long as nobody's getting hurt, because the more you make connections with people, the more that you understand them, and the more you just let them be who they are. It's fantastic. Absolutely. So we're getting some lovely messages. Uncle Frank Mulcahy, talking about diversity and inclusion is essential. Love that, Frank. Absolutely. Miss you. We have to catch up soon, by the way. And saying that when he talks about workplace bullying, his prevention programs all the time, it's about misunderstanding. People don't understand really what's going on, and they're possibly taking the wrong idea. But when you actually level the playing field and people get more understanding of what's going on, then you get rid of most of the problems. So yeah, I agree. It's education, Frank.
Yeah, that's right. And it will be, you know what, if you're watching the show live, comment on what we're actually saying, because I mean, we hope that we're not the only ones that are having actually these feelings. Yeah. Because I mean, now we covered ethnicity. Now we covered sexual orientation. Now, the third one, which is also absolutely crazy, and this one is going to really shock you, religion. Why?
Wow.
Just have a look.
This is what you need to know about the future of world religions, according to projections by the Pew Research Center, whose results are driven primarily by current differences in fertility rates and the size of youth populations around the world. The major takeaway is that by 2050, the number of Muslims around the world will nearly equal the number of Christians, as Islam will grow faster than any other major world religion, thanks to a comparatively youthful population with high fertility rates, which is projected to cause Islam's followers to grow by 73%. The number of Christians also is projected to rise, but more slowly, at about the same rate, 35%, as the global population overall. The countries on Earth with the fastest population growth rates are mostly countries with heavily Muslim populations. If these countries are able to develop faster than expected, though, their birth rates will fall and the growth of Islam will be slower than projected here. As you can see, the current fertility rates of Muslims are significantly higher than any other religion. Muslims also have the youngest population, with 34% of their followers under the age of 15 and only 7% older than 60. Religious switching will account for over 66 million Christians changing faiths, with 93% becoming unaffiliated. Here in the United States, while declining in overall share, Christians are projected to still be the dominant religious group, although the unaffiliated, which includes agnostics and atheists, will see a large jump. Even though the number of religiously unaffiliated people will increase by nearly 10% over the next 3.5 decades, its share of the global population will actually slip by more than 3%. Today, only 60% of the world uses the internet, but as that number climbs, the number of unaffiliated, agnostic, and atheists should likely rise with it, faster than projected in this study. These are the countries projected to no longer have a Christian majority in 2050, either because the number of Christians will drop below 50% of the population, or because another group, like the unaffiliated or Muslims, will take Christianity's place as the majority religion. Under these projections, worldwide, the proportion of Muslims will surpass Christians around the year 2070. And lastly, a word of caution about this report from the Pew Research Center itself. The projections are what will occur if the current data are accurate and current trends continue. But many events, scientific discoveries, armed conflicts, social movements, political upheavals, natural disasters, and changing economic conditions, just to name a few, can shift demographic trends in unforeseen ways.
All change everywhere around. That's interesting. They did a survey, and this might be a wives' tale, but there's a survey done in the UK a couple of years ago as to what people's religion were, and apparently what one was Jedi, because nobody took it seriously. They just said, I'm a Jedi. So it'll be interesting to see if Jedi pops up on that list, certainly among the non-believers. But here's
the interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing. I mean, living here in this country, also, there's a lot of misunderstanding about Muslims. And I mean, you have lived in a Muslim country for a number of years, and I have lived also in a Muslim country, and I absolutely love the Middle East. I think there's so many incredible things that are just misconceptions. And you know what? Stupid, not understood beliefs. And I think if you think about it, this whole thing, whether it is for race, whether it is for sex, whether it is for religion, whether it is for whatever, it has to do with beliefs. And let me just prove it to you. I have a great video that I can actually prove it to you. Have a look.
I think, the big question is, why do you believe certain things? Why do you believe in Allah versus Jesus? Or why do you believe in alternative medicine versus conventional medicine? And a lot of it has to do with what you're exposed to, as well as a number of biases that we as humans have that sort of colors the information we receive from the world. A large portion of it's geography, right? So if you're born in Oklahoma, you're much more likely to become a Christian than you are a Hindu, simply because everyone else around you is a Christian. But in terms of the specifics of our beliefs, they're very, very highly driven by, what we're imprinted with early. So, those people that are around us, as well as the fact that we naturally, as humans, seem to have these pieces built into our brain that want us to believe things that are not necessarily backed up by the evidence. There's been some very, very interesting research over about the last 15 years or so that has cleverly shown that children, I'm talking here under 2 years old, seem to be naturally wired to believe in things that are not necessarily actually there. And that certainly helps contribute to our belief in supernatural things later in life. I think one of the things that you have to do if you're trying to help other people see that maybe what it is that they are thinking is not necessarily accurate is you don't go up to them and say, hey, you're wrong. That's the completely wrong thing to do, and we actually know that from research, is it's called psychological reactance, and I'll just say, hey, screw you, I'm double right now. So instead what you have to do is you have to help them understand, why is it that I believe these things, and why is it that you believe what you believe? I'm a huge fan of the scientific method. I think one of the best things that our culture has produced over the last 400 years is the scientific method. And the reason is because what the scientific method does is it takes all of these biases, all these heuristics that we're naturally prone to, and it helps to eliminate them. It helps to control for all the things that we as humans naturally do so that we don't fool ourselves. And that's the key to any sort of real understanding of things, is not just, oh, well, here's my evidence for it. It's, well, here's my unbiased evidence for it. For me personally, it's about seeing the world as it is, not as I want it to be. And I think the world would be a much better place if all of us were trained in how to think critically, in how to think rationally, in how to logically examine questions, and not just find what I want to believe, which is what we do naturally, but find what actually is, or what actually isn't, so that you do so in an unbiased way.
You know, one of the things is, as a I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm not a very religious person, is when times are difficult, you wonder, if we didn't have everybody being driven by a spiritual set of rules that says you must be nice to each other and you must care because you won't be going to a special place afterwards, can you imagine how bonkers the world would be if nobody had anything keeping them in check? So I'm all for it. Whatever works for people, 100% I'm in for that.
Yeah, you know, Dave, you and I have something in common, which I think is quite interesting. I left Mexico because I also felt claustrophobic because of the lack of understanding of other people, other religions, other races. And I moved to the Netherlands, and I was really very happy about the inclusion, and I thought it was just absolutely incredible. And then I moved to Dubai, and I had the same feeling. I mean, how does that? I mean, how do you see whenever you travel outside of Dubai? What's the contrast that you have in diversity and inclusion there in the UAE?
Well, UAE, we don't see color. You've got 200 different nationalities here. And what we've done is we've created a world where you can have anything you want, but you've got to work for it. So as long as financially you can look after yourself, the government make it so easy for you. In fact, so many government ministers in this country are female and under 25. Sheikh Mohammed has made a point of making it as easy as possible for women to be promoted. He looks after the nationals here as well. But as long as everybody wants to do their thing here, you can do. Just don't upset anybody else. I find it so comfortable, and I find I don't have color in this country. I'm just somebody who's an expat, and I'd love to be, you know, a proper UAE citizen. But if you live here, you just see lots of people. I mean, I have so many friends that are married to somebody from a different country, and it's just normal. You'll look in, and it's like a Benetton advert. And when you meet somebody, you say, where are you from? And they go, you know, I'm from China, I'm from, I don't know, Switzerland or whatever it is. You go, oh, that's interesting. Tell me about it. And you genuinely want to know so you can broaden your horizons. And often you taste the food, you see the culture, you celebrate everyone's national holidays, their religious holidays. And literally, Dubai is like a Christmas tree in the fact that it gets lit up by different things all through the year as different celebrations happen for different nationalities. And it's an experiment that is, I mean, it's about 50 years old, that has worked better than anywhere I've ever been. And when I leave and travel around the world and go to incredible places, I actually can't wait to come back here where I just feel safe. And you feel safe because people feel differently about each other. I love it. It's a great experiment.
I felt like that when I arrived to the Netherlands. And sadly, right now, from what I hear from our friend Michael Dietrich, the Netherlands has also been changing and developing that on lack of tolerance, because one of the things that I really liked in the Netherlands was the tolerance. Let's see what Michael has to share with us. And he's actually going to be talking about, this is actually a video, this is not a live call, but he's going to talk about Zwarte Piet. And I will actually show a picture of Zwarte Piet in a moment so that you can see what happened with a very long-standing tradition. Have a look.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Ernesto. Welcome back to the Toilet Paper Diaries. We've definitely missed you. Most people who know me as a very positive and energetic and uplifting person, but it's been hard lately. And since the 50th episode, since you guys have gone off air, I've kind of gone into a downward spiral as things in this world get worse and worse. And even though I live in the Netherlands, I'm watching America, a country that I'm still a citizen of, a country that I still love. And it's hard not to get political about this, but I just see this country being torn apart right now. And as Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. We have a chance to make things better, but I'm so worried that it's not going in the right direction. You know, a lot of people say, Michael, you live in the Netherlands. You're so lucky you live in this beautiful, tolerant society. Well, I got to tell you, I came here in 1993, and the Netherlands was a Valhalla for me. You know, whether you're of a different race or gay, it was this place that was like, oh my God, everyone is so accepting. But I got to tell you, that was almost 30 years ago, and things have changed. And unfortunately, the Dutch are still riding on this reputation that its bank account is writing checks of, oh, look how tolerant we are, but they can't cash those checks. We have racial violence here. Homophobia has gotten way worse. The anger against the Moroccan people and the way that the Surinamese are made fun of here is just not tolerant at all. The one good thing I'll say about the Netherlands right now is because of what's happening in the world and because of all these killings and Black Lives Matters, I'd like you to look up Zwarte Piet or Black Pete on YouTube and see this Dutch tradition of blackface that has been for the last 15 or 20 years, has been a huge discussion here in the Netherlands about whether is it racist or is it tradition. I'm going to speak to the point. It's racist. It's racist. And it's not a long tradition that people want you to believe. It's not, oh, we've been doing this since the 4th century. No, you have not had shoe polish since the 4th century. However, because of the terrible deaths, and because of the Black Lives Matter movement, our Prime Minister this week said that Black Pete will be forbidden. So for 15 years, I've had a dream of, oh, can we stop this terrible racist tradition? And you go, oh, you know, it only took a bunch of black people being murdered to stop this tradition. That's the point I'm at right now, that I go, what happened to my optimism? We need to change the world, people. We need to stop institutionalized racism, and we need to realize, yeah, okay, I have a dream, but you have a dream when you're asleep. We need to wake up. We need to be woke, as they say. Stop talking about your feelings. Realize that there is a whole group of people that are going through something terrible right now, and they haven't been going through it just right now, but for hundreds of years. Let's change the world. Let's be better people. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Michael. Really makes a big difference. I love Michael. He's one of my favorite people in the world, and everything he said there, it really is true. I grew up when gollywogs was a thing, and they were Roundtree's marmalade used to have these gollywog black things like Black Pete, and people used to collect them as toys. And I remember at school we had a story called Little Black Sambo. A little black guy used to brush his teeth with soot, and it was just culture was just taken. And I was about 3 years old, 4 years old, and it was freaking me out at that age, thinking, hold on, why am I the only person that thinks this is horrible? So it has to be pointed out sometimes, unfortunately. Can I just also mention, Ernesto, and I agree with everything Michael said, when we're talking about this, we've gone through a number of different things. I also want to talk about physically and mentally challenged people, because that's a huge change that we've seen in the last couple of years. I was involved with training with a team in Abu Dhabi who were hosting the Special Olympics. And people came from all around the world, and they watched it, and it was a great event and so on. And in the UK, it's really celebrated as well. And it's made a huge difference to the way that people perceive people who are physically challenged, whether they're blind or whether they've got limbs that are reduced or whatever it is. And people are able to accept that a lot better, which is fantastic. And from a business point of view, the people who before were seen as being, ADHD and really obsessed and really hard to work with, some of the biggest companies in the world have realized that some people have a spectrum of knowledge, and if they don't get on with people, it's often like Rain Man, because they get on with science or maths or computers better. And so it's seen by many people that that can be a way that we can bring people in to do a certain job. If they don't play with everybody else, but they do well and they can earn, then it's a completely different world. So we are taking steps forward in many ways, but it just seems to be challenging when we don't see it being done properly or at the same time, or we take a number of steps backward from where we should have been. And I get why it happens because of finances and people losing power, but come on, how much do you need? In the lockdown, how much did you need to go out in your big car? How much did you need to go out and show people what clothes you were wearing and how powerful you were? And none of it. The basics were there. You got access to the internet. You wore clothes. You washed every 2 weeks. And you just enjoyed life and connected with people in a way. When you put it like that, you realize how much of our stuff is commercial that you don't actually need. You don't have to work that hard to get a really happy life. And the lockdown proved that to many people around the world. And I hope that lesson sticks in their heads when we move out of it and change the way we think about the world out there.
Yeah, going back to the time that, or the year that we were born, Dave, 68, 67. I mean, we have here Robert F. Kennedy, which he was one of the champions of the helping the civil rights movement. And just before he got shot, well, no, it was, just a few months or days or whatever, he actually had this quote, and I find this quote so true and so incredibly powerful. Let no one be discouraged by the belief that there is nothing one man or one woman can do against the enormous array of the world ills, against misery and ignorance, injustice and violence. Few will have the greatness to bend history itself, but each of us can work to change a small portion of the events, and in the total of all those acts will be written the history of this generation. It is from the numberless of diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a man stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes against injustice, he sends a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance.
People have to step up and make that difference. I mean, that video that we just got from Michael was really powerful because he's a powerful guy on TV, but he made a point that resonated. And that was beautiful. So it's not just good talking about it. People have to take action as well.
Our point here is we have to make sure that we understand. So now we know that there's this injustice for not only blacks, but for many people. What are we going to be doing about it? Why is it important to be inclusive, and why is it important to accept everyone?
If you only think in one particular way, in one particular tone, we're talking about a global market now. When the lockdown came along, we ended up having to think about ourselves, not in case of locality, but the fact we're connected now with friends on Facebook. And millennials get this a lot faster than we do because they've only ever known being connected around the world. So you get a different set of perspectives coming into your business. Now, what that means is you have fresh ideas, so a higher level of creativity. And it has to be because any product you bring out now and you put into the market is up against a global market, not just your locale, because people can surf and Google stuff as well. So what you've got then, as well as higher innovation, new ideas developed by better people because they all bring new things to the market. If everyone's grown up with the same thing, the same experience, you can never know that something's come outside. And one of the reasons that Dubai is one of the most powerful cities and most popular cities in the world is because it built up by the amount of expats bringing new ideas that fresh from around the world into one place and launching their businesses and becoming global leaders from here. That's why we've got such a huge tourism and events industry. So then you've got much better decision making being made. People can make decisions, and it's actually been shown that when you've got a diverse workforce and it's a very inclusive mindset, they can outperform people who've got a company that isn't as diverse by 87% more. That's how powerful it is. You get faster problem solving because everybody brings a new perspective to the market. The amount of times I've been at home chatting with my daughter or my wife and I say, we should do it this way, and they'll come up with a much fresher and better idea because they just see it from a different set of eyes. So then you've got to look at the profits. Bottom line is you'll make money better if you go to market with fresh ideas faster than anybody else. And having a diverse workforce and an inclusive workforce means that. But let's look at the basics about your staff. You will get them engaged more if they feel that they're valued. If they feel they've got something to say, they'll make a point of doing that. You've also got the fact that your staff will not leave if they feel that the company cares about them. And if they do leave, they'll say, what a great company, and they'll send other people to come and work for you and work with you as well. I mean, as Munir's pointing out here, the world is now flat. The borders have gone. Don't tell everybody the world is flat. Some people truly believe that, Munir, by the way. That's a whole new conversation. And we're not going to go to that one.
They're actually
the flat earthers. I get the point though about the international diverse audience. So you got less employee turnover because people feel accepted. Your reputation and the brand of a company becomes bigger because people see that you're socially responsible. This is really important for the millennials, that they don't chase money. They don't chase value. They chase the fact that it's got to be helping the world. And if you're working for a company that's got a really strong CSR and you care about, got social responsibility, that matters. So then when it comes to hiring top talent, when surveyed, have said that 67% of them would prefer to work for a company that's got diverse.
Oops, apparently we lost Dave, but yeah, it's absolutely completely right what he was saying. Also, what happens is that if you do not understand also diversity and you do not understand culture, and this is exactly what we're going to be covering in Fast Forward tomorrow. So make sure that if you are not you have not signed up for there on the Toilet Paper Diaries, because this is a secret showing. It doesn't really go to everybody. So the important thing is that we're going to be covering culture. Let me just share an important thing on culture and inclusion and diversity and understanding, which is critical. You know a company called Disney, right? Well, those guys went into Euro Disney because they thought, well, we're going to expand. And they just suddenly brought the Americana paraphernalia to France. And of course, it was not really taken very nicely. And of course, Disney was rejected for a number of years until it actually got an investment from a Saudi prince and also getting the French involved. Same thing happened in Hong Kong. So just take into consideration that if you do not understand all these different things, I think we got Dave back. Dave did a disappearing act for some reason.
And I'm back again. Good to see you. It just goes to show how much better the show is when we've got a diverse workforce. No offense. I'm just saying. Plus, I was just about to say that one reason that you need a diverse workforce is the food's better, the music's better, and the stories about people how they grew up is much better.
Dave, both you and I are married into different cultures. I have had cultural shocks with my wife. My wife has had cultural shocks with myself. You have had the same thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, that actually makes things a lot better. I mean, here you are with your beautiful wife, Aziza. Here I am with my amazing and beautiful wife, Joan. And it's just a great experience to actually be living in a multi-race and multicultural environment, don't you think?
Well, one of the things is during the lockdown when we're getting food ready, when we have British food, and I go, oh, British food, it is so boring. And then Aziza will pull out a dish from Malaysia or Singapore or China or something, and suddenly my mouth dances because it's got lots of wonderful tastes and spices and stuff. So, yeah, I would recommend everybody marry somebody from Singapore. But to be serious about it, it's about the fact that you get to know new things, try out new things, and why not? In the UK, the number one dish for people wasn't fish and chips for many years. It was curry, and it went from being chicken tikka masala, which is actually a made-up dish for the British market. It turned into, I thought it was a chicken tikka masala, I think it was, and then it went into Thai green curry as the number one dish for people. Now, okay, we're talking about people coming out of a pub and say, what do you want to drink or what do you want to eat? And say, right, I'll have some of that. But it just shows that the tolerance, the mindset, and the interest has changed. And it's such a wonderful thing when you've got that. I'm sure it's the same for you, your beautiful wife, Jane from Holland.
You know, Dave, you and I are very familiar with neuro-linguistic programming. So we know about pattern interrupts. And I think this is exactly a moment for a pattern interrupt. Now, if you have never heard of a pattern interrupt, I'm sure that you have seen it in marketing or you have seen it in t-shirts. And, great marketers are fantastic pattern interrupts. Kids are fantastic at interrupting patterns. If you're a good parent and you know how to use pattern interrupts, you will be able to actually change the way of thinking of people. So basically, let me show you just right quickly here an example of a pattern interrupt. Sex. Now that we have your attention, please eat at Subway. I mean, the fact that you're seeing the word sex there, or for example, I have seen another one that says, your wife is hot. And then underneath in very small letters, it says, please buy her better air conditioning. What happens? Of course, I mean, you're interrupting the pattern. So I have some interesting pattern interrupts. First of all, let's deal with race. So let's just have a look at this one. We were talking about the multi-race, multicultural weddings and marriages. Have a look.
Yeah.
I did not expect to marry like this straight up from Italy, like white man, ever.
My family tended to use the word Oriental a lot.
Not out of spite or disrespect.
Not out of spite. That's just what they thought, and I was like, that is a rug, and Brian is Taiwanese.
When my folks got married, they wouldn't have been allowed to be in certain states at the time. You know, in terms of like, you know, multi-ethnic families, like they were actually the real groundbreakers.
So my friends have told me that Asian men aren't sexy, but look at Ken. I think Ken is so sexy.
Verified.
When I came with my Brazilian black girlfriend and say, welcome to the family, and my mom and my dad were fascinated.
People think we're related for one thing. Everyone's like about the same. They're kind of like, there's a little bit of Asian-y inside the eyes.
I always just thought I would be with, you know, an American black guy. When I was a little girl, that's what I would fantasize about. That's kind of what my family, you know, expected.
Doesn't matter where she's from. Doesn't matter the color of her skin. I mean, if we get along, we get along.
The difference in our culture really didn't come into play.
If you just strike up a conversation with people, even if they look really different than you, there's a high likelihood that you'll find something in common.
It's scary that, you know, right now things used to be so easy, so safe to be different, to be an immigrant. Now it feels like there's this big pushback, and even kids start feeling it.
Even though it seems like we're at the most racially tense moment in history, all of a sudden, like I think it's really just sort of
It's just
a stopgap before
the tide.
Beautiful. I was on a Zoom call today with a business colleague, a gentleman called Dirk, and my daughter Maya came in and gave me a kiss because she was going downstairs to do something. And as we're chatting, and Dirk's a really nice guy. He's a German, blonde hair, lives in Spain, and he turned around and said, "Look at this." And he Googled, and he showed me all these Google searches of this beautiful mixed blood daughter. And he said, "That's my daughter." I'm like, oh my goodness. So he married a Brazilian. And so we've both got a lot in common, and the bonding that came from it was fantastic because we both agreed how important this show is and how important that we really share with the world how great it is when you meet people and connect with them or marry them even from a different culture. So I'm 100% in.
Yeah, we're getting here a message from my dear friend Janice Hooker-Foreman. She's saying a diverse workplace has people with personal circumstances and experiences that contribute in different perspectives and creativity. Janice, thank you very much. Big kiss. We love you. Hey, bye. Hi, Maya. Talking about beautiful girls.
Off to bed now.
That's so cool. You know what? Now here's another big pattern interrupt, which I think is really funny. Here you have the Democrats and then you have the Republicans, and it's like having one side and the other. I mean,
yeah.
It's sometimes people are afraid here in the United States of actually talking politics. In the Netherlands, everybody talks politics. Everybody swears against the prime minister and defends the prime minister and has all the fights that you can imagine. And then at the end of the day, they have a beer together and nobody cares. But here, oh my goodness, the moment that you touch the subject of politics, big issue. So normally we stay away from politics. However, this video, it's a pattern interrupt, which I think it's absolutely genius.
Finally tonight, in the middle of a presidential campaign filled with rancor, we were struck by a very different image over the weekend. First Lady Michelle Obama embracing former President George W. Bush at the opening of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. They do have a special bond, the Democratic Obamas and the Republican Bushes. We saw it at the memorial service for the fallen Dallas officers when Mr. Bush and Mrs. Obama held hands and swayed to the music. And President Obama has often expressed gratitude for the Bush's kindness during the transition, including the advice the Bush daughters gave his daughters.
They told them to surround themselves with loyal friends, never stop doing what they love, to slide down the banisters occasionally.
By all accounts, the families have grown closer over the years. This picture went viral. We can only hope the sentiment is just as contagious.
I love that. I'm welling up now just looking at that. Just goes to show, look, it goes to show that, you know, blood's thicker than water, and that relationships, it's just fantastic when people go, let's just check. Oh, that's a really good idea. And it is a really good idea. It's fantastic.
So that means, I mean, if completely opposite, polar opposite ways of thinking can connect and can also have that feeling of love, I think that's just amazing. We can all do it. It's absolutely possible. I tell you, I was not very much a fan of George W. Bush when he was president. And then I had the opportunity to meet him here personally in Houston. And I thought he was the most charming and adorable guy I met in a long, long time. He was just fantastic. And it's just the moment that you change those kinds of things are just really amazing. I have another great pattern interrupt, which I find incredibly funny. You have a black mother and a white dad.
Yep.
What would have happened, for example, if you would have had a white twin, and you being black and your white twin will be white?
It's very possible. I'm the darkest of the three children, so it's very easily done. You know, the same as Maya, who you saw, is Blasian. She's got mixed blood of black and Asian. And it does happen. It does happen. And it's fascinating when you see it because it really levels what your mindset has to be.
So here's my question for you. What will happen if you will have a sibling, actually a twin, which is from the same womb, from the same time, you were born at the same time, but one is black and one is white? Let's have a look at this.
These pretty teens are best friends, and they're also something else. Something that may surprise you.
We're twins.
Believe it or not, they're twins.
Yep, we're twins. We're
same
twin
mom.
sisters. Same dad.
You heard right. They have the same mom and dad. What are the odds that one would be black and one white?
A lot of people are just in shock.
Lucy and Maria Aylmer live in Gloucester, England. Maria has a caramel complexion, brown eyes, and thick curly black hair. Lucy has pale white skin, ginger red hair, blue eyes, and freckles. Most people have the same reaction when they hear they are twins.
They say, how did it happen? We don't believe you.
So, how did it happen? Their mom, Donna, is half black and half white. The twins' dad, Vince, is white. The couple was thrilled when a sonogram revealed they were expecting twins.
I just cried. It was shock.
Mom did a double take when she delivered one black and one white baby.
I'm so glad Mum dressed us in such cute little outfits.
Mom dressed her adorable twin daughters in matching outfits, just like twins everywhere. But by age 10, Lucy says she didn't feel like a twin, so why dress like one?
We don't look alike, so why should we have to wear the exact same thing?
Maria says she once wished for Lucy's straight hair.
I used to cry about it. I was like, I hate my curly hair.
And Lucy says she was sometimes taunted at school.
They thought I was adopted. and calling me a ghost.
Now 18, the twins not only look different, they have very different personalities.
We're completely different.
Maria loves getting dressed up in chic clothing. She is very outgoing.
I love meeting people. Like, I'm not scared to approach people or anything, so. Whereas I'm terrified of like going up to random strangers.
Lucy prefers casual clothes, but they've come to embrace their uniqueness as black and white twins.
If I have kids one day, they might come out looking like Lucy.
Hey! Yes.
Isn't that cool? Now, I mean, I think for you and I, Dave, the only thing that we need is matching outfits.
I don't think anyone's going to get us mixed up as twins. Mind you, we are looking closer together. Your afro has grown since you started doing the show, and physically, I haven't really worked out either. So yeah, we could be twins. We're brothers from another mother, if nothing else. And I come from a family. My mother's family is all twins. So there's like 3 or 4 twins in my mother's family, and so there's a very good chance that we could have had twins.
There you go. I mean, so imagine what a pattern interrupt. Oh my goodness, my brother's black, my twin brother's black. That's great. Now, imagine this is another really very good one. What happens if you actually get some of the oddest combinations that you can find and put them together? And this one you're gonna really like. Have a look.
No other TV show comes close to being as oddly perfect as Martha and Snoop's potluck dinner party. It's equal parts weird, educational, and hilarious. A gangster rapper pairing up with a grandmother and businesswoman might have seemed like a recipe for failure, but the opposite couldn't be more true. The show, with its rotating list of celebrity guests, has proven to be a ratings blockbuster and hit with critics, even earning an Emmy nom. The show returned for its second half of Season 2 in August 2018, and we couldn't be hungrier for whatever these two are cooking up next. But to quench your thirst between episodes, here's what you need to know about Martha and Snoop. The idea of a cooking show with co-hosts Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart definitely sounds absurd. And sure, they might be like oil and water on the surface, but their friendship is 100% genuine. The pair have had a fondness of one another ever since Snoop was a guest on Martha back in 2008.
This is parquet or margarine?
No, this is butter.
This is butter?
Real butter.
I used to like that commercial.
Unsalted butter, and look.
Parquet.
Over the years, their friendship has grown into what Snoop calls, quote, a natural combination of love, peace, and harmony. Watch a single episode and it's immediately obvious that the two have great chemistry. Producer Sally Ann Salsano said, "I think it feels so good because you have two people that genuinely love each other and respect each other for real."
People would have never thought that we could have a relationship and have a friendship, but that's what's wrong with people. Stop judging the book by the cover.
Let's be honest. Who else is going to put out a cookbook that could potentially include both truffle pizza and pork chops with a malt liquor glaze? Stewart told the LA Times, "We publish good, tested recipes. That's important to me."
By the way, unagi is an aphrodisiac.
So it's Viagra in there?
The show has proved that just about anything is possible with these two, so who knows what the future will hold. But we can all agree that a Snoop and Martha cookbook would be, as Snoop might say, off the hizzy.
For shizzle.
I'm not a fan of cookery shows, but that I will watch until I get inspired to start cooking anything.
Yeah,
that
you know what
brilliant.
I think is great, Dave? I think we actually have a chance in the networks.
If they've opened it up to Snoop and Martha Stewart, then why can't we have our own show? Where's the call from Hollywood? Goodness me, it's only a moment away, I'm sure. I'm sure we're just trying to find us and hoping we're not going to get blocked by Facebook again. That's probably what's
So as you can see, I mean, if we open our minds, if we start being tolerant, if we start being accepting, if we start being inclusive, and we let go of some of our beliefs, we can definitely enjoy and get to learn a lot more. Tomorrow in Fast Forward, we're going to be covering culture. We're going to be covering how Disney, the mistakes from what they have done. We're going to be covering how you're actually going to implement all these kind of things. Plus, also, I'm going to be sharing, if you're a speaker, I'm going to be sharing a specific formula so that you can actually get and start getting speaking gigs. I'm going to tell you exactly how that is done. What are you going to be sharing, Dave?
I'll be showing how to get the Wi-Fi code of your audience. If you're going out in front of any audience and they're diverse and you're not used to them and not your kind of people and you're not sure what to do and you're not sure how to get them to love you, I'll teach you how to suddenly get them to want to work with you by understanding a better way of communicating with them. And so if you're not watching Fast Forward, which is a secret show, Nesto, tell them how to find it.
You have to go and just click there on the button so that you can find out exactly where it's going to be. It's for free. It's not a problem, but it's just for us, for a limited people, for people that want to really grow and fast forward their business. We're also having James Dentley. And now, Dave, we have covered a lot of things. We are already getting a little bit without time. So I think it's good that we go to the news. What's going on? Well, I think the first thing that we need to check is this one, because of course, I mean, the whole thing why we started this show was because of the pandemic. And we can just see here, coronavirus are basically pushing Latin America to the limit. Right now, Latin America, it's in very, very bad shape. I was just reading today that Texas, California, New Jersey, and a number of different places are also striking, I think, because after the protest of the Black Lives Matter, this is going to continue. So we are not out of the woods. That, I think, it's an important set of news. We haven't changed. I mean, still is there.
So we'll be here for a little bit longer, I've got to say. Can we just mention again about fast forward, by the way, ladies and gentlemen watching the show, that if you enjoy watching the Toilet Paper Diaries, you won't be able to watch it like this. It's a private show. The only way to get access to it, and we dig deep, we go for a deep dive into the business side, not just the funny side, but the business side. We answer your questions. We have special guests like James Dentley, who's a superstar. The guy is like the godfather of sales, and also is an incredible speaker. He's the guy who taught Les Brown a ton of stuff, and he works with him on a regular basis, training speakers and training on many different things. He's going to be joining us tomorrow, but you won't get it here. You have to go to the toiletpaperdiaries.com, register, and we'll let you know where you can find us. But we will be broadcasting this time tomorrow, and if you don't do it, you won't find out where we are. So, in a very adult way.
That is exactly correct. The airlines are being shrunk tremendously. Some of them even 95%. Emirates is starting to discontinue the service of the A380. KLM is getting rid of all the 747s. Delta is getting rid of all the 777s. So yes, I mean, it is. I mean, what the pandemic has done is just absolutely insane. It's very
thousands of people, many of them the friends that we've got. My wife started off flying for Etihad, and her batchmates are no longer flying. They've all been given their marching orders. I understand why it's happening, because the demand has changed. People are scared to fly, so on. But that's just one disruption in the airline industry. It's happening right across the board. Now, I feel for everybody who has to go back home and they have to reinvent themselves and so on. But that's what this show is created for. It's created to give you a different mindset, to help you think about business differently, and to be able to create a digital version of what you need to do, and also discover new directions that maybe you hadn't considered because you'd stayed in the same job, comfortable for such a long time. So that's why it's important to keep watching the show, share it with your friends, let them know about it, join our tribe, and of course, join us for Fast Forward for more tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before I share this other news, which I think is at least about 3 days old, but I just cannot stop laughing. Once again, it's political, yes, but it's making a statement, and that's what the whole thing is. And I think it's just absolutely fantastic. When I was working for KLM in the Netherlands, their biggest rival, their biggest competitor was British Airways. And they always said that the alternative airline to the UK was KLM, not British Airways. So what KLM did, and that's really some of the best marketing tips that you can imagine, they actually talked to one of the farmers close to Heathrow Airport, and they asked them to actually get on top of their roof of their farm, fly KLM. So every time that you actually land till this day in Heathrow Airport, you will see on the farm a Fly KLM big sign. And I thought it was genius. So it's just hilarious, don't you think? It's just absolutely hilarious. That's really marketing at its best. And this is something that nobody will tell you this in the news, and that's why it's so important that you actually listen to these things here only with Dave and myself here in the Toilet Paper Diaries. And it's really very interesting and very funny. This is 16th Street in Washington, D.C., and possibly you have already heard that they changed the name of 16th Street, and now it's Black Lives Matter Plaza. And the whole 16th Street, in a massive way, it says Black Lives Matter. Now, let me just show this to you into perspective, because this is just absolutely genius from the people from Black Lives Matter. It's just so funny. Over here, this is 16th Avenue, and you will see on the other side Pennsylvania Avenue, where the White House is. And every time that the president takes off in Marine One or lands in Marine One, that's exactly what he's going to see.
That is,
I mean, this is incredible marketing, marketing, and I absolutely love it. Political or not, it's absolutely genius.
If you're going to do it properly. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that is correct.
Very cool.
And I have one more news that I added on today, which I also think is very, very funny. Today, I saw that this weekend, trying to observe the social distancing, this is the way that priests are actually christening kids.
Is it paintball?
No, it is a squirt gun.
What's happening?
Yeah, they are basically the kid is just being baptized with a squirt gun. That's what's going on.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. And the thing is, by the end of it, he's got to be quite a good shot. He could do paintball if he wanted to. But,
I was showing this picture to my daughter Nina, and she says to me, oh my goodness, can you imagine how confused the poor child is?
His first experience of the system that's going to keep him, inspired for the rest of his life is an old bloke with a water pistol trying to catch him on his forehead with a gun. That's like the way you do it on Reservoir Dogs.
Do you think that they're actually going to put that picture on a frame?
Well, they should do. They should do. I mean, that's something I'd like to be able to look at years later and experience and tell people that's why I wear an eye patch.
Oh my God. Anyway, Dave, we have run out of time, but I mean, it's been an honor and a privilege doing this show. I think I Have a Dream 2.0. I think we have given the best of us, and it's been really enjoyable doing this with you.
I wouldn't want to do this show with anybody else, Ernesto. You rock, and also all our friends watching it, spending the time with us rocks as well. Thank you.
Yeah, this a revolution in our time. Everybody's fighting, change coming, yes. That's why it's an acronym for riot. Everybody has a voice, don't you dare stay silent. If you say nothing, you are an accessory to violence. Let these words dry the tears of our people that are crying. We can bring back hope, but not the people that are dying. It's what happens when the people you've oppressed ask for change in the country that they built, but you've ignored and denied. This for Sandra Bland, George Floyd, and every single family. Police brutality is intervened in and destroyed. Couple bad cops can't define all you other boys, so every good cop needs to stand up and make some noise. Black, white, Asian, doesn't matter cause we can't avoid. So let's all come together, join hands, and yes, get annoyed at people who believe racism makes sense in a country built up minorities, slave work, employed. Nobody's born racist, man, it's something you learn, deep rooted in your brain from the day of your birth. I think it's time that we repair all of these bridges we burned and let love out of our hearts onto the cheeks we've turned. Spread love, show love, let's get rid of this curse. Don't wait for anyone to act, man, you go first. 400 years wasted, let's get rid of this hurt, cause that's the only way we'll ever see peace on earth. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. what we really need. Cut me open, cut you open, res the color every single human being bleeds. Let's come together, cops, citizens, and in between, and rally for the rights of everybody in humanity. Black, blue, white, green, playing for the same team. Mine, I'm okay, but boy, that doesn't mean I can't dream. Black lives matter, shouldn't anger you or make you scream. All lives matter, cause we aren't treated equally. Remember when we were kids and didn't see color, and when we played in kindergarten and I called you my brother. Then we grew up and they taught us we should hate on each other, even though we went in the same and we all came from our mothers. I hope y'all understand, hate is not a trait, it was learned, man. Equality's the